John, welcome to Destination Morocco podcast. So to start, what initially really inspired you to travel to Morocco?
Well, I've been wanting to go for years, and I've been to Egypt several times, and I love North Africa, and I've been to South Africa as well many times, and I'm a big history guy, and I really wanted to follow the transition from North Africa into Spain.
Yes.
So we started in Spain and went down in Morocco. So it's been on my list for a long time, and finally I was able to go, and I loved it.
That's incredible. How much time did you spend in Morocco, John?
I was there for 2 weeks. I believe.
2 weeks is
I was 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. Yeah.
And did you get a chance to see the north part of Morocco, the south, or both, or just some cities?
North and mid. So we started in Tangier. We went as far south as Marrakech.
Awesome.
And the desert just outside of Marrakech. I wanted to go down all the way to the southern deserts, but that was going to take a little too much time and driving for the amount of time that we had. So next time I'll.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, John, as a photographer, what was your first visual impressions of Morocco when you arrived there to Tangier?
Well, I love the street scene, and I'm also a food and wine guy, and I might have had one of my best meals ever at a street vendor.
Oh, wow.
Well, not a street vendor. It was a restaurant, but things spill out onto the street. Pretty casual seating and just out in the open, next to the street, very busy street. And they were cooking right there.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of two of my favorite meals. The other one was also on the street. Funny enough. So I love the atmosphere and people just living their lives. Yeah. And of course, Tangier, the coastline is beautiful up there as well.
It is gorgeous, yes. When we visited Tangier was a really big surprise for us. We loved it. It's very diverse, a lot of old history, a lot of new history. And Tangier has seen the most development, if you would, in the last 2 decades.
Wow.
So, and the food was very different, very unique. It has that Moroccan style, but it has a little bit of Spanish flair to it. And the street food was amazing. Anywhere we went was just incredible.
You brought up a good observation that I didn't mention, which is, yes, the amount of development along the coast was quite spectacular. Yeah. I mean, it was even more modern, and I can't tell what the insides looked at, but I'm sure they were great. But they looked much nicer than the Costa del Sol in Spain.
Oh, wow.
To me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was some really cool, especially around the Cave of Hercules in that area.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's incredible. You bring in a lot of memories, John. Did anything immediately capture your eyes when you got to Morocco?
Other than it felt like Spain, the landscape and the vegetation and it felt very much of that same type of era. And then, of course, when we got into the city, it was a busy city. And like you said, yes, modern and old.
Yeah.
But not busy like Egypt busy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. This was calm compared to that.
Yes, yeah.
But a good, a very urban feel.
Yes.
Didn't spend a lot of time there because we were heading down to Chefchaouen.
Yes. There's a lot of similarities between the northern Morocco and southern Spain because obviously we colonized them, they colonized us. We colonized them for about 700 or 800 years. So you can definitely see the influence, especially when you go to, southern Spain. It is super similar, but also in Tangier, a lot of people, they speak Spanish, more than other parts of Morocco versus you said Marrakech and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that you will notice when you visit Tangier. It is incredible. It's amazing. And it's absolutely worth the visit when you're traveling to Morocco. So you said Tangier, then you said Chefchaouen. Now, for a photographer, when we say Chefchaouen, it's definitely one of the must stops.
Absolutely.
So how was it for you, John?
Yes, it's a must stop. It was my favorite place for sure. And that's not just for photographers, just to be in that town and especially where we stayed above the town. It's like I just wanted to sit around and look and walk into town. And it's such a spectacular town, not only visually, but there's a peace to it.
Yes.
There's a very peaceful, kind of laid back feeling.
I said that all the time. The culture is very different.
It's very different. And it's great just to walk around and to talk to people and see all the cats there.
Yes.
We're cat lovers, so we stopped at so many kitties are running around there. It's great. Well, actually everywhere in Morocco.
Yes,
too.
especially in Chefchaouen. I call them paparazzis. They follow you everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, visually, it's absolutely spectacular. And I do have photos, which I'll share. The color of the cobalt that they use, the raw cobalt that they use in dyes, is amazing. And that adds to that real sense of harmony and peace there as well.
Absolutely.
The shops are fun. It's a totally different vibe than Fez or Marrakech.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I recommend it highly. I recommend not doing what I did, which is not spending enough time there.
Yeah.
I'd spend at least 2 nights there, at least. Totally. And just the hotel where we stayed at was so beautiful.
It's got to be a riad. It's Riad Jasmine.
Riad Jasmine.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful.
It was just an oasis.
Yeah.
It was my favorite place of all the places, and I could have easily stayed there multiple days.
Yeah.
It was a really good entry point into the culture and into Morocco.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Just to add something to you, John, in Chefchaouen, I would say 98% of the stays are riad stays, and the one you stayed in, it's one of the high-end riads in Chefchaouen, which is incredible. So tell us a little bit more about your visit. And before that, I want to just highlight, you said that you're interested in history. I mean, Egypt, everybody knows Egypt, the history, it's super popular. But also when you go to Tangier, the downtown Tangier is about 3,000 years old. Then when you look at Chefchaouen, for example, it was established and built in the 15th century, right after the Spanish acquisition, I believe in 1459. Right. So there's still, you're right there in terms of history. So it's beyond incredible. What else can you share with us about Chefchaouen, please, John?
Well, it's a great walking town. It's easy to walk from where we stayed down into town and back. I've seen some people complain where we stayed about the stairs, but it's hard for me to imagine because I live on a hill and I have a ton of stairs just to get to my front door and back up. So I'm kind of used to it.
Yes.
So it didn't bother me, and it would be challenging for someone that has
disability,
movement challenges. So absolutely. However, if you don't, I highly recommend it. And when you said high end, I agree. And the difference is high end in Morocco, price wise, is not high end.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's like basic for Europe.
Yeah,
as far as the pricing goes, because the exchange rate is so good.
Yeah.
Although now I don't know about that with our.
It's still the dollar is still strong. You still get you still get
get a lot.
Yes.
But my feeling on all this is, if I'm only going to go there a few times or spend limited time, and it's a difference between $100 a night. Now I know I'm talking privilege here, but I'm not a wealthy guy. I'm barely, not that way. But for me, it's about the experience.
Yes, totally.
And so spending a little bit more to have that experience is great. I don't play golf. I don't go fishing. I'm boring. I don't go to theater. So I'm not spending a lot of money during the year. All my money goes to travel because for me, it's the memories and experiences, not the material things that I can't bring into the next life with me. But I can bring my memories and I can share those. So travel is critical for me.
Absolutely.
Sorry to get off on
No. It's. I said the same thing to a lot of listeners, to people when they book with us. That $50 can really make a difference with your stay. And we have our network that we work with. And also, I want to mention something. It's a little bit also of the subject, but, ratings and reviews in Morocco, they're different than the US. In Morocco, they don't really matter much. But what matters is the relationship you have with those accommodations, those riads, those hotels, for us as suppliers or tour operators. So you may stay at a 5-star hotel or a riad, but the experience will not be as good as staying somewhere, just very modest. It's very tricky. In Morocco, almost everything is kind of unique and different. So the other question that I have for you, John, were there any challenges or rewards to photography in Morocco compared to other places that you have visited, for example, Egypt? Like cultural difference?
Everything's a challenge in Egypt, so that's hard to compare it against. It's a beautiful challenge, and that's a whole nother conversation. I actually co-led a tour there last 2023 because I teach Hermetic arts and alchemy and things like that.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's a very friendly photography. I mean, I wasn't worried about my gear at any point. I don't carry a lot of stuff. I pack really light photography-wise. That's a whole nother conversation if you want to know about what I use. But I pack compact but high quality. But I didn't feel at all stressed about safety or my... And the vistas and the things that I saw were incredible. And by the way, we're just starting this conversation. I mean, there are a lot of other photography which we'll talk about as we move down, into Fez, etc.
Absolutely. We did the tour back in 2023, and I honestly had no idea that the gear is heavy. It's a lot of gear, and then it's very, very expensive. So, when you're planning a trip to Morocco as a photographer, what are some of the tips that you have, John, for example, for first-time photographers visiting Morocco, whether it's Chefchaouen, Marrakech, Tangier, or just staying maybe in one city or in the desert? So what kind of advice would you give them, please, John?
Well, okay, if we start with the most basic, iPhones take freaking amazing pictures now. I mean, you can go especially with one of the new iPhones with the bigger zoom.
Yes.
And a wide-angle lens, they have high pixel count now, you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But if you're more of a detail and fanatic like I am, you can go to the next mid-range, which is basically what I use, which is a mirrorless camera, so the body's small, but I can still choose lenses with high-quality glass that are also small, so it's easy to carry in a pack around my shoulder, not even a backpack, just a basic pack, and I can get away with stuff. If you really wanted to get that experience but not do the separate lens thing, then just use what's called the kit lens, which is usually a zoom lens that comes with these. And the image quality, what you can do with it as far as edit it afterwards to really coax the most detail and contrast out of it is time consuming. Yes. But it's worth it, for me anyway. But again, I took pictures on my iPhone that are spectacular. Yes. And what's great about that is I end up using that, honestly, way more than my camera because, like at night and I go out to dinner and we're walking in the streets, I'm not dragging my camera around. Yeah, I use my iPhone for all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's great. Yeah. So
absolutely. So
take a lot of pictures. You can.
Yes. So I remember the iPhone 16. It's definitely, that's one of the biggest differences between the 15 and 16 is, for content creators, for people that they're on the go. They want to create content and on the spot, on demand, and share it with their audience. So iPhone is definitely highly recommended. What else can you share with us about Chefchaouen, or we should move to Fez?
Let's move between Chefchaouen and Fez. Now, again, history-wise, I had to stop
Volubilis. Yes. Oh, my goodness.
I had to stop there.
Yes.
There was no way I was not going to stop there. For any of you folks that are in my age group that saw the movie Patton, it's shot in Volubilis, part of it, where the Carthaginians were, although it was a Roman town, actually. Yes. But there were some evidence of Phoenician before that and such. It's pretty well preserved. There's some great mosaics there, and it's relatively quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, going to Roman ruins in Spain or in Italy especially, they tend to be very, very crowded.
Yeah, it is.
This is very open, and again, for photographers, It's great.
Yes.
And I have a lot of photos from there, and it really gives you a sense, if you're not traveling all over the world and you want to get a sense of seeing what a Roman town was like, it's absolutely worth the stop. It's right on the way anyway.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
And speaking of which, there's some good wineries around there too.
Yes.
Now, I didn't stop at the wineries, but I had the wines in Fez and elsewhere. So
Yeah. Yes. Just to add a little bit to Volubilis. Volubilis, for me, when I first visited, it was mind-blowing. As kids, we, in school, we study the history and we see the pictures, but nothing really like when you set foot on it and you can see the tracks from the tires of the Romans at that time. And, just like you said, the mosaic and it just looks like a city. And we were very fortunate and lucky. We had guides every time we visit, and we get the explanation what this is. Olive oil is definitely, it's one of the most important for them. So you can see where they have made olive oil. You can see we call it the pressure, the natural pressure where they make the natural olive oil, and it's pressed cold and all that stuff. And you see the first one, the second one, the third one, and then you see where they used to bathe. Then the history, the ark. Then the other part we can see about 5 pillars standing. That's the courthouse. The history is just amazing, and like John said, it's on the way. If you're from Fez going to Chefchaouen, it's a quick stop, an hour and a half, maybe max. You'll do an amazing site tour. Yep. Also keep in mind, in Volubilis, you also have, in case if it's hot, which most of the time it is, you have the museum. And the museum, again, in terms of education, it's really worth the visit.
Great.
Yeah.
And there was also another little town on the way that we stopped for lunch, which was my second favorite meal. I don't know what they do with chicken there, but it's unbelievable.
Is it?
It's unbelievable.
If I have to guess there too, but I don't want to guess, but I'll say, is it on the hill? Or is it Meknes?
Yes.
Meknes. Okay, Meknes. Meknes is one of the imperial cities, and also when we speak about wine, they have one of the biggest wineries in Morocco, in Meknes. So tell us a little bit about that, please, John.
Right,
how was the chicken?
The chicken is amazing. So I got a half a chicken. Of course, there's the skewers, which are famous there, the ground lamb, the beef. The chicken, though, is just, it's on those open flame grills right on the street. And I think they probably got the chicken that day, most likely, because I did go to one of the open air markets. If not, the chicken's probably in the backyard.
Yeah.
So it's amazingly fresh. Sorry for those vegetarians out there. Vegetarian food's good there too, if you want the tangines. But I'm a chicken guy, and it was just transcendent.
Yeah.
Like I keep talking about, my wife goes, "Okay, we're going back just for you to get the chicken." So
most of it is organic, and that's what makes it different in the taste.
It's so juicy, and the flavor profile with the spices they use, unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable. So that was a great, unexpected stop for us. And then we went to Fez after that, which is where we ended up at that part of the trip.
Okay, great. So when you stop at Fez, do you remember where you have stayed, John?
The Palais Amani.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
Gorgeous.
It is beyond gorgeous. We visited it last time. I loved it. The rooms are incredible. They're really big. The courtyard is amazing, and it's just that. Oh wow! Yeah. Oh.
It was a beautiful hotel.
That's incredible.
And it was an old palace. It was converted. Very, very peaceful. Yeah, the rooms were wonderful, and there's a traditional hammam in the bottom of the underground there, which was great, which I did. And it's easy walking distance to everything in town.
Yes.
Really easy walking distance. And that's another thing I like to do when I travel. I try and stay in places where I'm not having to take a cab to get to somewhere where then I want to start walking.
Absolutely.
I like to stay in places where I can walk a lot. And this was one of those places.
That's incredible. Sure. That's incredible. Yeah. What else can you tell us about your experience in terms of photography? And I know Fez is amazing. You can easily get lost, and there's so many things to see and do. How much time did you spend in Fes, John? And also,
2 or 3 days. I can't
okay,
remember exactly how many.
and how did you?
And
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, correct. You're correct. You can get so there's a lot of winding streets. A lot of them are covered because of the heat.
Yes.
And there's thousands of shops, thousands, and it's a different experience. From again, I read in advance. Oh, it can be it could be aggressive. The shopkeepers, it just was not.
Yeah. No.
I
Fes,
mean,
yeah.
again, maybe I'm jaded because I'm coming from the markets in Cairo, which that's a different level.
Yeah.
But this was, to me, it was totally good. A lot of things to see in there, just for photography's sake. Old mixed with new, you've got, lots of kiddies.
Yes.
But easy to walk around, beautiful shops. And again, the colors.
Yes.
Now we're getting into more the greens and the reds.
Yes.
In Fez, which were beautiful. I can't remember if that was called the Green City or the red.
It's the green is the color of the religion, which is Islam, and then the blue is the color of the city of Fes. So when you go, and they call it, Bab Fes, which is the big arch door. If walking into the city or downtown or the market or the souk, you'll see that it's kind of, I don't remember greenish, but then when you walk in and look back, you see the color is different. Again, Fes is one of the imperial cities. So when you do a tour like this, we normally call it the Imperial City Tour. So you have done Meknes, you have done Fes, you have done Marrakech, which is the three, then Rabat is the fourth one. So in terms of experience, we always recommend Fes a minimum of 2 to 3 days. So obviously, you have done it right. Obviously, you're staying at, in my opinion, one of the best places in Fes. It's so close to everywhere. And then can you share what else have you done in terms of photography in Fes, and how was it stimulating? You said the colors, but I want you to tell me a little bit more, because there's the colors, there's the jewelry, there's the leather, it's just a combination of, eye candy, if you would, for the eyes. So tell us a little bit more, please.
The street scenes are absolutely worth for photography. Yeah, the leather. So I went crazy. We went to the oldest leather tan. I think it's still in the world. Yeah. It's still surviving, where you get to see outside all the dye pits,
the tanneries,
the various colors, and how they treat and tan the leather. And I'll just say this: if you're going to Morocco, bring money and buy leather. That's all I have to say. I went crazy there because the prices were so good. I've got beautiful belts.
Yes.
Beautiful handmade leather belts that were like $12 US. I mean, it was crazy. And I bought several of them there. And we bought a bunch of other stuff too, but the leather there is just beautiful, and the leather working, and you can do a tour of that old leather tanning facility, and that's where I purchased some things. But there's leather all over. There's whole leather districts in Fez. There's districts for different types of things, and then the ceramic, the clay. Yes. Now we start getting into seeing a lot of that. So there's shops there that where you can see them making the small tangine, which I bought a few of those, and bigger things. You can actually buy whole fountains there. Yes. I mean, it's crazy what they do, and the mosaic work they do. So there's so much to photograph and so much to see. And the food was great. We went to another palace for a dinner that was in even a more beautiful courtyard than the Palace.
Is it Palace Minusbi?
Unbelievable.
I'm sure.
And that's when I really started exploring the wine from Morocco. So jumping to that topic very quickly, I'm also a wine guy. There's some maps of Burgundy behind me.
Oh, wow.
Because I do some wine brokering for some wineries in France. And I didn't really know what to expect. We had just come from Spain, which is another favorite wine destination for me. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
I really was. There was the white varieties are similar to a Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, wow.
They're approachable. They're drinkable. They've got great balance, great food wines. And I had one of the reds from Volubilis. It was also very, very good. It paired beautifully with the heartier dishes, the chicken things,
Yes.
and those types of things. So, and the wine is very well priced. Now, of course, Morocco was a French colony, so you can get French wine there too if you want. It's a little bit more money, but not terrible. In Egypt, the French wine is marked up 420%
Oh my
markup.
goodness. Oh wow.
Because they want you to buy their wine,
Yes.
which is not the same
Yeah,
as
of course.
Moroccan wine. I'll just leave it at that. But the Moroccan wine was quite good. It was a very pleasant surprise. I was totally happy with it. I didn't even need to buy French wine at all. Yeah. So if you're a wine drinker, try the wine. You know, and my whole theory when I travel is to really enmesh myself in the local culture and try the food and try the local cuisine, local to that geographical region even, as much as possible. So I really get a good feel of that.
Yeah. I just want to add something else to what you have said, John. You know, wine is widely consumed in Morocco, and they say it's for the tourists, but it's also majorly consumed by the locals as well. And there's different types. Morocco is shipped globally. It is sold here in the US. They have a few types. I've seen it in Specs and a few other places. Also, when we talk about wine, I want to talk a little bit about the cuisine of Fes. Now, you started in Tangier, then you went to Chefchaouen, then you came to Fes. These are three different cities, but they can be three different countries with three different cultures and vibes and also cuisine. So Fes, when we talk about the Moroccan cuisine in Fes, it's very different. Now we're talking high-end. We say the Fessi people from Fes, they eat with their eyes. So everything has to look amazing. You know, it's different than Marrakech. Marrakech, we are known for street food. You know, we just want to fill our belly and feel, you know, full. So tell us about the experience of food and wine as well in Fes and how different from Tangier and Chefchaouen, if you can, please, John.
The local food scene is different. I mean, there are some similarities, of course, but the type of spices they use, type of things, type of local vegetables that are there, that's really can be a big difference because the climate's changed, like you said, in those areas. And so the fruits change a little bit. And I found mostly that on the meat dishes, the different spices were more local to that area and the preparation. But for me, I love the grilled thing, so I always would mostly gravitate to that, which I found the food great everywhere. The bread, that's another thing that is a little different too. There's some great bread in these areas.
Absolutely.
Really, and that's one of the great things about doing the street food, because there's like fresh baked bread and all kinds of fun stuff there too. So
absolutely. So beyond photography and wine, John, what were some of your favorite experiences or places you have visited that you have not mentioned yet?
Okay, so let's jump around just a little bit. So we went to Marrakech, and for me, the surprise there. This was the funny thing. In the Secret Garden, they have this place called the Secret Garden.
Yes,
was one of the best coffee houses.
Yes.
Not one of, probably the best coffee house by far I've been to. It's right out of the Victorian age, I would say. It's called Bar El Baka. And if you're going to Marrakech, if you don't go there and you like coffee, you've missed a great experience.
Yes. I love coffee.
Yeah. They bring in coffees from all over the Arabian Peninsula and Africa. And they're really, really well done. And they serve proper cream with the coffee. And just to sit and have a coffee. Plus the food there is great too. They have great food in that place. But the scene, absolutely go there. I'd go back simply for that, literally. It was incredible. You can buy coffee there and bring it back with you or have it shipped. Yeah. It's not inexpensive coffee, let's just say, but it's an experience.
Yes.
To sit there and have a coffee and a croissant or something in that environment.
Absolutely.
There's also for color, the Yves Saint Laurent
Yes.
Museum
Yes.
in Marrakech has got beautiful cobalt blues and
Yes.
colors, and it was a great photography spot there.
Oh, for sure.
Because the flowers were beautiful in that place, and just the scenes with the ponds. So it was a feast for the eye. So it was really interesting because my wife is a color person. She was inside the museum quite a bit, and I was outside
Yes.
taking pictures of these flowers. So we had something to do. She was looking at all the fashion stuff, which doesn't
That's
do
amazing.
much for me. But
Yeah.
but the scene, the beauty of the place did. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So the museum you're talking about, John, is called the Berber Museum, and also the YSL Garden. It's definitely a must stop if you visit Marrakech.
Yeah.
If you're a photographer, you're really, really, really missing out if you don't stop at. Normally the site visit for regular folks could be between 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but for a photographer, it's going to be a little bit longer, because you want to capture those moments. We have visited in the afternoon, right before they close, and I mean, the light from the sun, it was a sunny, beautiful, beautiful day. And I see the pictures. I mean, they were just amazing, amazing, amazing pictures. So, as a photographer, it doesn't really matter the time that you visit, but just visit it. And also want to add something else to what you have said, about the coffee, about, the mosaic, the ceramic, and then the leather. Anything you buy in Morocco can be shipped to literally anywhere. So just keep that in mind. When you shop, sometimes you have one piece of luggage or two. They may not be enough, but they can also be shipped. If you're doing everything in one city, one shop can ship everything for you, just in case. So, and they use FedEx. FedEx is popularly used, but the most one is DHL. Then there's a carrier that's not in the US, but it's in Morocco as well. So those are the two. DHL is definitely number one used in Morocco when it comes to international shipping, and you can ship the wine by the cases and stuff like that. So and it takes different times depending on the things that you're shipping. Like you said, water fountains, obviously it's going to take a few weeks. It could take between 2 to 6 weeks probably. So it just if you're doing the shipping, just check and double check with the vendors. Yeah.
Great. So then from Fez, we made our way, so in Marrakech, and there we stayed at the Riad Terabel, I believe it was called. It was right on the edge of the old town, and very easy to walk. Be prepared, however, if you're coming from Fez to Marrakech, it's a very different vibe. There's the modern town of Marrakech could be anywhere. Yeah. I mean, it's like LA, basically. Yeah. It's very modern. There's some great restaurants out there, and then you get into the old town, and it's very, very different. Again, it's very much like Fez, except just be aware there's a lot of motorcycles in that town.
Yes,
and you don't have that in Fez for some reason. So it's a little bit more of a just making sure and walking cautiously.
Absolutely. I want to add something to that, John, if I may.
Yeah.
Marrakech has definitely, it's the motorcycles and bicycles, with the horses, the carriages, especially the motorcycles are really, really, really out of hand. And that can be a challenge in terms of theft. It can be a challenge in terms of many things. But also what I wanted to mention, when you talked about earlier, John, you talked about Fast, and it is laid back city. It is, nobody will hustle and bustle you. Nobody will bother you photographing and doing all these kind of things. But Marrakech is a little different. It's a little bit more aggressive. So you have to be a little bit careful, especially when you're handling and having your gear with you, and it's expensive. Somebody can snatch it on a motorcycle. You never catch them. So you have to be a little bit careful. We're not discouraging. We're just
just be cautious.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, the motorcycles literally come right on you. I mean, so it was not my preferred city for that reason, for walking, but it's worth it to go just for the coffee shop and the big square is massive, and I actually played with some of the local musicians there just for fun.
Oh, wow.
But there's food stalls, like tons of them. Fresh fruit, juices. And also, Marrakech is a good point because it's easy to get to via air.
Yeah. Yes.
And then we went from there to the valley, which is beautiful. I don't know if it's pronounced Orica Valley.
Yes, Urica Valley. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
towards the high Atlas Mountains, and that was just gorgeous. Yeah, beautiful places. We stopped at a local small town, and we had tea with some of the locals there in their home, and it was a beautiful experience. Wonderful place, and then we stopped at one of the local markets. I think that was in Akhmat.
Ahmad. Yes,
And that,
yes.
yes, and that was an outdoor market. I mean, everything from blacksmith
Yes.
was there to, to a whole, vegetables just piled everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, really, of course, organic, fresh,
Yes.
really nice vegetables. Everything there is insanely fresh. And the market was a fun photography experience as well. And the valley, by the way, was absolutely spectacular.
What do you remember the time of the year that you went to the valley, John?
It was the fall,
Yes.
so we went and saw there's red cliffs there like there are in Arizona, and it's beautiful. Really is great.
The time that you went is really, really good. I'm talking about in terms of busy. Summertime, it's beautiful because it's cold, but it can get extremely packed. So basically, you really did it the right way. And then, can you tell us a little bit about that experience with the Berbers, with the local family? Because a lot of tourists, they don't get to experience that, and that's that leaves you with a lot of memories, a lot of things that stay with you. I mean, it's a short stay, short visit, but can you just tell us something that stayed with you?
So they had their own olive grove, and we talked about olive oil. The olives were amazing. They were great. The people were very, very hospitable. I had a chance to spend some private time walking around with the son, and just talking about daily life and the things that they go through. And it's very similar to us. It's gosh, do I want to? When I'm out of college, am I going to come back home, or am I going to get out? And so it was a great conversation, which, by the way, shout out to our guide, Idris, who was with us on the whole trip. We had hours and hours while the ladies were doing things of private conversations on diving deep into Islam, into the whole culture. And it was the price of admission for me, just to be able to really spend that kind of time and make those connections and bridges. Not to get too philosophical, but that's the only way this planet's going to survive, if we can get out of our own way and start connecting with folks from different cultures and learning, because ultimately we're all want the same thing.
Absolutely, John.
Okay, I'll get back to the trip now. But that was a really rich part of the trip. So spending the time with the family and having the famous mint tea, but brewed from a home instead of in a restaurant. It was a very different experience.
Of course.
Like I said, the olives and the bread, oh my God, they were incredible.
Yeah. And then the stuff that they put, either olive oil, butter, some nuts, almonds,
Almonds, yes, thank you for reminding me.
It's just
amazing.
The hospitality is just something else. And even for us, when we go to the mountains, when we go to villages, those small details, they still stay with us. They touch us in a way that it's incredible. So
it's incredible, and that's the whole reason for me to travel, is to have those experiences. That I'll take to my grave with me.
Absolutely.
A new TV I won't be taking to my grave. So this is again for that. So after that we went to Essaouira.
Essaouira, yes.
Essaouira. And again, for photography, they paint all the boats, fishing boats, blue, so it's really a photogenic place. And now there's a lot more seafood, so now the food again is different. And it was similar to Spanish food, the way they prepared the seafood.
Yes.
A lot of olive oil, grilled sardines, fantastic. Octopus, all the things I love in seafood were there. It's a very easy town to walk around as well. It's very easy, and there are some really interesting buildings I took pictures of there, and the shops are even more laid back. There was actually a good gelato shop right on the main square. One of the few ones that I found in
Essaouira,
Morocco. It's, Morocco's not known for gelato,
yes.
but that one was quite good. So that was a nice, fun surprise. So, and then we ended up our trip at the second most magical place outside of Chefchaouen, which was in the Agafay Desert?
Agafay, which is in the outskirts of
Agafay,
Marrakech. But also before moving to Agafay, John, I have a couple of questions for you, please. For Essaouira, in Essaouira, did you do a day trip to Essaouira, or did you stay
No, we stayed overnight.
overnight? Okay,
In fact, I think we stayed two
two
nights.
nights. Okay, do you remember the place where you have stayed, John? Essaouira is a small coastal city with a lot of history. They call it the windy city of Morocco because it's always windy, and
It's windy,
the weather is different. If it's hot in Morocco, it's cold in Essaouira. So it's kind of strange in a way, but it's absolutely a must. It's well known for many, many things. Argan oil is absolutely one of them. And also,
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
the other thing is they have filmed John Wick, I believe, 3 with Halle Berry in that hotel. It's actually in Essaouira. And we talked about it in one of the live Q&A that we did, Where to Stay in Morocco,
Oh, nice.
a few months ago. And then the Game of Thrones, they also have filmed the Game of Thrones in Essaouira as well. So the visit to Essaouira, like John said, it's walking distance. You can do it in maybe an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. But the shops, Essaouira is known for its wood. The wood comes from a nearby forest called Tuya wood, which is, you can tell the difference because of the smell, and it does not really get affected by the sun throughout. If you buy a gift or something that it's made out of Tuya wood, the shape will stay for years and years to come versus any other wood in Morocco. So tell us about your experience a little bit more in Essaouira, please, John.
We stayed I did find where we stayed, at the Dar al Osia Essaouira.
Okay.
It was, I would say, for me, the bottom part of the hotel was great, but compared to where we had been staying on the trip, it wasn't to that
Level.
Yeah. It was fine. Yes. I'll just say it was fine, but if you want that other next level, it wasn't that. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But it was very well situated. It's super easy to walk everywhere from there. It's a small town.
Yeah.
At least the old town's a small town.
Yeah.
Now the town spreads out everywhere else, but the old town is very easy to walk.
Absolutely, John.
Super easy to walk.
So I want to add something else. When you do your tour in Morocco, the experience overall is going to be incredible. But I totally agree with John 100%. Not all the accommodations are going to be the same, especially when you go to Fes. Fes has the best riads. That's what they are known for. The riads is just, they are next level. Then comparing to somewhere else, you go in the southern part of Morocco where there's not a lot of tourists and it's not touristy and there's not a lot of investment. Yeah, you'll stay at a nice riad, but it's not going to look anything, so sometimes it's kind of really unfair to compare them in a way. But in Marrakech, they have nice riads. In Essaouira, they do. But in other places, there's some limitations. So, yes, you'll have an amazing experience, but just don't have that expectation that every riad is going to be above and beyond expected, because it's just not.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but the overall stay is going to be amazing. So,
It will.
so
we ended up in the desert.
Yes.
And that was incredible. I mean, I loved it. And that's another place I wish I would have stayed longer.
okay, that was my next question.
I really wish I would have stayed longer there. It was absolutely magical. And where we stayed, talk about bread. So they were making bread in the open fire oven, which is outside.
Yes.
And then, and the woman that was making the bread just took it out of the oven. Oh, here, have some. I mean, it was transcendent.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful out there in the desert. And that's where I got to sit in with the Berbers,
Yes.
the local Berber musicians.
Yes.
And I'm a drummer, and I asked if I could sit in with them.
Oh, they would love
They
it.
handed me one of their djembes, and they don't know, like, who's this guy, and like, does he understand our rhythms and stuff? Which I do, but they didn't know that. And so I sat in, and then they wouldn't let me go. Like, like five tunes later, I finally had to say, I can't, my hands aren't used. Play mainly with sticks, but I do play hand drum.
Yeah.
My hands aren't conditioned for that amount of time.
Yes.
I said I had to stop, but they loved it, and I loved it, and it was a magical experience.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
But the place with the pool and the tents and the accommodations were really great. Food was great. It was just a wonderful thing.
Oh, wow.
So
you bring in so many memories, John.
and what's great is I think it was within less than an hour from the airport.
Yeah.
So we had to leave the next day, and it was an easy jaunt to the Marrakech airport now. So
absolutely.
So I would have absolutely stayed 2 nights there. I just didn't know.
Yes.
I would have stayed more time there than in Essaouira because it was so peaceful.
Yes.
And good for the soul.
Yeah. The Agafay Desert is in the outskirts of Marrakech. It depends where you're staying in Marrakech. It could be between an hour, 15 minutes, 45 minutes. It just depends. A few years ago, it used to be far from the city, but Marrakech has expanded so far and so much.
Huge.
In some parts, it could be like 20 minutes away if you're in that part of town. But normally, for a lot of people who don't have enough time to do the Merzouga Desert experience, they do Agafay, and it's rightfully so. It's a lot of fun. The food is amazing, and you can do so much stuff. That place is getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, it's going to be its own city at some point, in my opinion.
There's a lot of camps there.
Yeah. There's a lot of camps, and they're really fancy. They're really luxury, and
really nice.
You can do anything from quad, from camel ride, horse ride. So much stuff you can do. It's really, really, really incredible. And then you have your privacy. It's just your camp. It's just you. So it's very unique and intimate experience. What else can you tell us, please, John?
Well, I mean, yes, there's a lot to do, but a place like that, the only thing I wanted to do was to read, sit by the pool, and not do anything because there was so much stimulus in the rest of the trip that this was a nice way to cap the trip, just to be in that. So the beginning in Chefchaouen, same, and then at the end. So I thought that was a really nice way. I didn't plan it necessarily to do it that way, but it ended up being a really nice way to cap the trip on both the beginning and the end. So yeah, I highly recommend it, especially if you're going to Marrakech and you don't have the time, because there are no flights to the southern desert. So you have to drive there, and it's about 8 hours just to get to the desert, and then however long once you're there to get to the camp. Now that's a whole different experience that again is on my list to do for the next time. But we just didn't have time to spend all that time just to get there. And this was really easy, like I said. And so you spend a night in Marrakech and walk around and go to the coffee house and see the museum, and then you go out into the desert, and then you fly back to your destination from there. It was great.
Absolutely.
Spend 2 nights though.
Yes.
Don't spend 1 night.
Definitely.
You'll hate yourself.
So based on your experience, John, what advice would you give to the first-time travelers to Morocco to help them make the most of their trip?
Yeah, it really depends on how much time you have. So flying into Tangier was easy. Then having a guide is good. Driving to Chefchaouen is a must. And then through Volubilis is a must. To Fez is a must. And then if you don't have a lot of time, then fly from Fez to Marrakech, spend a day in Marrakech and a couple of nights in the desert, and fly back to your destination from the Marrakech airport.
Absolutely.
That's a really not too stressful trip. And if you had more time, you can, spend more time doing what we did, time out in the high Atlas Mountains and, a few other things. And if you had a lot more time, then go to the southern desert and have that experience. I'm sad I missed that, and there was just no way I could squeeze that in.
Absolutely. This is a great advice, John. And also, just want to add something else. When people travel to Morocco, they look at Morocco on the map. They don't think Morocco is big, but it's big.
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah,
it's big, especially when it comes to driving. And now there are flights, you're right, from Fez to Marrakech that you can fly directly. which saves you depending maybe 9 hours, maybe 6 hours, depending which way you're going to Marrakech. There's another highway that is going to be built, or a freeway, directly from Marrakech to Fes, which is going to help tremendously as well. But nobody knows how long that's going to take. Also, you could fly in again from Fes to Rashidia, which is the gate to Merzouga, if you would. It's a few hours drive. But then again, there's a little bit more options if you have time to do the southern part of Morocco. If you don't, the itinerary that John mentioned is just, it's incredible. It hit the right spots. You spend the right amount of time in almost all of them, which is just amazing. So, is there anything you wish you had known or done differently during your trip to Morocco, John?
Yeah, I would have adjusted the amount of time in Essaouira and added that to the desert.
Okay, I see.
I would have spent one more night in Chefchaouen,
yes.
too. So maybe I would have cut, if I only had that amount of time, I would have taken that time from Marrakech and put it into Chefchaouen for 2 nights.
Yes.
So beginning 2 nights, ending 2 nights.
Yes.
And just because it adds a little bit more relaxing component.
But also because you are a photographer, and we work with a lot of photographers, and it's just, we learn so much from them, and it's amazing. But you cannot rush anything when you're doing a photography tour. The itinerary is the same, the locations are the same, but the eyes that are seeing everything are different. So it's just, you have to give it that time. And some tours you have to start a little bit earlier than normal because of that golden hour in the morning, or that golden hour. It's just, you have to capture the right moment, the right picture, the right, it's incredible. So there's so much detail that goes into it, but again, it just looks like on paper Fes, Chefchaouen, Tangier, Marrakech, but it's very different, and the difference is in the details and in the lens. So
and being in the culture.
Absolutely.
For me, a critical part.
So, as we're getting close to this episode, this has been amazing. John, I am super grateful.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, is there any other questions that I should have asked you, John, and for some reason didn't or forgot to ask you, please?
I mean, the only other point I'll make is it's for folks that might have gone to Egypt in the past and have a lens that North Africa is like that. It's not. Yeah. It's just a totally different culture. I mean, it's completely different. Yeah. Yes, there are some similarities, but it's very different. And I love Egypt. It's and I'll be going back when the museum is done, hopefully in my lifetime, the final museum, and I'll do some more trips there because that's a whole separate thing. But it's very different, and Morocco, there's so much to visually see and to take in and to experience. It's more of being in this today's culture, but yesterday's culture at the same time. Hard to explain that to me, but there's just that piece, and the people are amazing. People in Egypt are amazing. Don't get me wrong; they're phenomenal folks there. But it's a different vibe. Yeah. It's something that's, I think, anyone would enjoy.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're used to certain European things, it'll be a difference because the culture is different.
Yeah.
But there's so much richness in it, so that I'll just kind of leave it at that. Absolutely. You have to really go to know. It's hard for me to explain unless you're there.
You have to feel it. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
You have to experience it and be in the experience.
Yes. And finally, John, was it one lasting image or feeling that you took away from your trip to Morocco? Something that stuck with you, stayed with you? I know you said everything stays with you, but is there one thing?
I'll just show you right here.
Okay.
You can see. I didn't mention this before, but I did mention that I teach alchemy and hermetic arts and sciences.
Oh, wow.
But in Marrakech, there's a part of the souk is a sacred area, and if you're at all into incense, the amazing incense that I bought there. That's white frankincense. This is red frankincense.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, my goodness.
And then black frankincense and sandalwood and myrrh. I mean, this is the real thing. They're not what's in sticks.
Yes.
and they're not what you can buy, off Amazon.
Yes.
You really have to go there to see the colors, smell the scent, and just one of these little rocks alone here would be about $30 or $40.
Oh, wow.
This is amazing, the price that I got all this for.
Oh, my God.
And this is just part of my collection. So there's that whole sacred part of this trip that I didn't even talk about. Yeah. That's probably a whole nother conversation. Yes. But it's absolutely, it's magical. That's all I'll say.
Wow, that's amazing. Obviously, you had one of the most incredible experiences in Morocco, and it shows, and it's gonna show in this episode. And people are gonna feel it, and they're gonna hear it, and they're gonna sense it. And I'm very grateful to be part of it, John. So this is it's beyond incredible.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, you take care.
Bye bye.
You have traveled the world, but Morocco's allure beckons you. Destination Morocco is here to create the perfect once-in-a-lifetime Moroccan journey, tailored exclusively to your desires. Let us craft an itinerary that unlocks the secrets of this mesmerizing land just for you. For a luxurious, bespoke Moroccan adventure of a lifetime, visit destinationsmorocco.com. That's destinations with an S, Morocco.com, and let us turn your dreams into reality. Your amazing Moroccan experience awaits.